The government is expected to shut down in a number of days. Apparently, this came up in an interview just yesterday morning with the president and a CBS reporter. And what's interesting here is that the CBS reporter got a lot of clarity from President Trump. Again, like, he doesn't mince words. I would tell you, like, as a reporter, I can count on one hand, like, 2 people that never, ever lied to me, ever. When I was reporting out a story, and one was actually Carl Icahn from Queens, and the other was Donald Trump. What do you know? From Queens. The guy's from Queens, you know? True to their words. Anyway, he said, look, the shutdown is happening. I'm going to play you a clip from CBS. Keep in mind, it's a little bit slow. Everybody's reading a teleprompter. You can even tell the reporter is like reading right off the teleprompter. A little inside baseball for you there. But it doesn't change what he's saying, which is that the president told him, yep, it's happening. You can blame Chuck Schumer all day long for this.
Spoke this morning to President Trump. Bob, top leaders, both parties, both sides of the Capitol are coming to the White House. Did the president tell you he thinks a shutdown can be avoided?
A shutdown looks likely at this point, based on my conversation this morning with President Trump. He says both sides are at a stalemate. Democrats want to extend health care subsidies that were part of the Affordable Care Act, but President Trump said his focus on health care is on preventing undocumented migrants from having access to any of the U.S. health care system. Now, it's illegal for any non-citizen to have that sort of access, but President Trump says we're not going to have it, quote, we're not going to allow it in terms of moving forward on any discussion unless the Democrats come to his side on health care and don't focus on the subsidies. But based on my conversations with top Democrats, that's not going to happen. So President Trump told me, quote, I just don't know how we are going to solve this issue. That makes a shutdown quite likely. And inside the White House, sources are saying President Trump actually welcomes a shutdown in the sense that he believes he can wield executive power to get rid of what he calls waste, fraud, and abuse. And there is that memo, as you mentioned, that says the government is ready to have mass firings if a deal isn't struck.
Reductions in force, right. Well, we also know that the president took some extraordinary public statements in the past few days. He publicly said he wants to see Adam Schiff, now a senator, Letitia James prosecuted, along with James Comey, the former FBI director, who is now indicted. Yesterday, he twice posted on social media about former FBI director Chris Wray. Did the president tell you, is he planning prosecutions?
I did not speak directly to the president about that today, but fishing around all weekend in his inner circle, it's clear this is just the beginning in terms of possible prosecutions of those who have scrutinized the president or criticized him over the years. You mentioned the mortgage policy potentially of Senator Adam Schiff of California. He's being discussed inside of the Trump administration. So is Letitia James, the New York Attorney General who sued the president over how he valued his real estate holdings. And there are others not even on our radar at this moment, like retired Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Milley, who are being discussed as people who may have taken action against the administration or president in some way, allegedly, in the views of those inside, and they want to see the Justice Department hold them to account. There's such a gap right now in Washington. Republicans believe what President Trump is doing is accountability. Democrats are alarmed and see this as authoritarian government at work. And there's a real tension there that's not going away.
No, and a justice system that has to deal with evidence and facts. And we're going to talk about all of this ahead with some of our guests. Robert Costa, thank you very much for your reporting.
You know, it's sort of interesting. Here's another story that we haven't really gotten to, but you do know that all of the military officials are going to be gathering in Virginia this week as Pete Hegseth calls them all into a meeting. Apparently it's just sort of a rah, rah, rah. But back to the government shutdown. You wonder how it's going to relate to the government shutdown. I think that Donald Trump absolutely recognizes there's an opportunity in this, that the government shutdown will result in mass firings, and he has been wanting to trim the size of the government for quite some time. So it's sort of like, you know, he gets to have his cake and eat it too. Simultaneously, guys, you got Chuck Schumer, who's out there saying, well, I'm not going to do this, that, and the other. And, you know, he's holding out because he wants health care for illegals. And that's not exactly a winning position, right? If we go back again to looking at those poll numbers that show no one is with the Democrats right now, that they are in such terrible, terrible, steep territory there because the favorability ratings are just so low, right? Unfavorable, 54%. So that kind of, it tells you a lot. So the government's going to get shut down. They're going to be these mass firings, potentially, and he's going to be able to turn around and blame the entire thing on none other than Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, leading, of course, these poll numbers to suffer even more. Another big story I do want to tell you about at this hour, and that would be Kash Patel. He's actually come out with saying there were 247 FBI agents in the crowd on J6. That is a big, big revelation, and he has been able to determine this. Kash has, because of some of the agents that have come forward. He said agents were sent into a crowd control mission after the riot was declared by Metro Police, something that goes actually against FBI standards, which is interesting. What's also really interesting and sort of amazing about this is that you had Christopher Wray come out and say that there were no FBI agents there. And so I think it's a little peculiar that you're getting these two different viewpoints. That's rather remarkable. So what Kash is alleging here is that there was a failure of corrupt leadership that lied to Congress and to the American people about what really happened. And thank you, he said to the agents coming forward, we are now uncovering the truth. And he is vowing to get more definitive answers about the Bureau's role in the riots. Now, there had been some talk that it was actually some of the FBI agents that were instigating this. He's not saying that. I want to be very, very clear. He said that they were sent in for crowd control. He said, we're fully committed to transparency and justice and accountability. And so one wonders, is Christopher Wray possibly in some kind of trouble for, I believe here, having lied about this? This is going to become another big question as we go down the list here. And there's a lot of people that and Christopher Wray, by the way, was a Donald Trump pick. But once you start getting into the deep state, let's just say it gets really, really deep. And I think there's a lot of like CYA going on, and everybody has to cover for each other. And that's what they do. That's what they do. Anyway, there's so much news. We didn't even get to Soros today, so we'll have to save that one, I guess, for tomorrow. I want to remind you all about my company, 76 Research, because we just put out another note the other day that I can't tell you enough. Like, it's really important that you need to invest for your future. Hopefully, we can provide you with some good research in order to help do that. Initially, it's $1 a month, so go check it out at 76research.com with code word dollar, DOLLAR. This is my company that I started in conjunction with a brilliant investor, a very, very good longtime friend, Rob Horton. So between the two of us, I think we've got some good ideas out there to share with you. So please go check that out. It is lovely to have you all here. What happened? Oh my gosh, I almost lost you for a second. I almost lost you, but I didn't. We are climbing. We haven't had the party yet because, it's been kind of a downer. I was on my way to 1 million subs, and right around the time Charlie died, we got there. And I just wasn't in the mood for a lot of celebration. But, we will have a party. We will celebrate. I want to do something special for you guys. I thank all of you for your commitment to this program and for your commitment to transparency and to honesty and to truth, and for being here in support of me every single day. You have no idea how much that means to have you. This is just an organic operation. I just started doing the show almost 2 years ago, religiously every day. And you guys know, no matter where I am in the world, I'm doing this show. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to come on 5 days a week. I'm going to do video because, video is what I know and I understand. I feel like I can communicate with people better over video as opposed to audio. Although, good news, Spotify just went on to video. So I'm over on Spotify. I got it. Tomorrow I'm going to give you that link so that we can do that. I could use some stars. I could really use some stars and some subs. Yeah, so do your part. Go to the one with the blue picture. When I'm in red, that's the one that has the video. If you're over on Spotify and you check out the Trish Regan show, the one in blue with the red, and you have to listen to one of the shows for a little bit before you can rate it. But please, if you would rate it 5 stars only, please, I really would appreciate it. I mean that. I'm looking at Don Bacca, who's been here from the beginning, which is great. Peace of my mind. I didn't even get into to Tylenol. No. And I'm just horrified by all these young women doing what they're doing. Have you seen this, guys? I mean, it's crazy. It's like all over TikTok, all of these young women taking Tylenol. I mean, it's like heartbreaking. I'm looking for it right now because I actually played this the other day. We have over 1 million views on this one. I'm going to play it for you right now. This is just concerning. It's terrifying. And it's again, I think, peace of my mind, it echoes sort of this TDS on steroids, like what we saw from Rosie O'Donnell earlier. This is concerning.
Okay, so this is happening. So I have a friend that's a nurse, is an ER nurse. And lately, there's been a spike of women coming in, especially women, coming in with poisoning because they took too much Tylenol or acetaminophen. So this is actually happening. I mean, are we for real right now? Like, you feel like you're in the Twilight Zone because these are adults. These are adult women. And they are now sending themselves to the emergency room because they're taking too much Tylenol.
And you're hearing of pregnant women doing this as well. There are no words. Let me just remind everyone, be very cautious. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm doing a public service announcement, for goodness sakes. What on earth, right? What on earth have we gotten to when you're going to take risks like that with your own body and your unborn child? You know, we have a friend who actually, he needed a root canal, and over the weekend, this is years ago, took too many Tylenol, like a lot of Tylenol, because he was just going crazy with the pain before he could get into the dentist, and he died of liver failure. Okay, this happens. It happens. And, you know, to try and do something that might hurt yourself or your unborn child because you hate Donald Trump so much, I'm sorry, it doesn't even make any sense to me. Like, where are we going as a country? That is not a good place. You look at the tragedies, right, that happened over the weekend. That is not where we should be going. I don't like to even give them a lot of attention because I've read a lot about this, and there's this like copycat phenomenon. And that's why it's discouraged, like, you know, not to put the people's picture up and that kind of thing, because whatever's going on, we're in a very fragile state here, mental state. Maybe that's because of video games. Maybe it's because of lack of community, lack of religion, lack of family values that were so part of the American culture up until recently. I mean, again, it gets us back to where we started on this performer for the Super Bowl, who has just such disgusting, atrocious lyrics that don't represent American values in any way, shape, or form. And so what are we trying to do? Shouldn't we get back to something that's healthier and better for everyone? I think we do. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you agree, okay? Let me know in the chat. And by the way, I read all the comments after, so you're always welcome to put something there too. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Until then, have a wonderful evening.